We're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another fabulous episode of the Killer Author Club. We're so glad you're here, and we are so delighted to welcome the one and only Killer Wanda Morris to the club. And just as an aside, in addition to our killer guests and some amazing killer alumni books to give away, we have a lot of giveaways tonight. We have a special surprise for you. We're not going to tell you right now, but here's a hint. It involves a collaboration between the authors of Friends in Fiction and an extra giveaway. So make sure you stick around to the very end of this episode. Obviously, we have tons to talk about, so grab your cocktail and your list of questions for Wanda, and we will see you on the flip side.
Thought you really loved me, guess I was wrong. Thought you'd never leave me, guess I was dumb. Waited like forever to be your plus one, but I guess you were done.
Hello again to all of our new members and to the Killer Author Club OGs on Facebook and Instagram or YouTube, where we're up to 766 subscribers. So if you haven't done that, just go ahead and subscribe. We'd love that. Wherever you're watching, we're so glad to have you here. I'm Killer Kara Ruda, and with me is Killer Kimberly Bell and Killer Heather Gudenkoff. And we're so excited to be welcoming Wanda Morris to the club as our killer guest tonight. We'll be talking about our latest, What You Leave Behind, which is fabulous, you guys. We all loved it. And we're going to talk killing of the fictional kind, of course. So make sure to drop your questions in the comments, and we'll try to get as many as we can. So without further ado, Heather, could you please introduce our special guest?
I would be honored. Wanda M. Morris is the award-winning author of All Her Little Secrets, which has been praised by Karin Slaughter, we all know her, as brilliantly nuanced, and reviewed by the Boston Globe, LA Times, New York Times, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Seattle Times, and South Florida Sun Sentinel, among others. Her second novel, Anywhere You Run, won the Anthony Award for Best Historical Novel of 2023 and was longlisted for the prestigious Mark Twain Voice in American Literature Prize. She is a former corporate attorney, married, the mother of 3, and lives in Atlanta, Georgia. Congrats, Wanda, and welcome. We are so happy you're here with us. So excited. We're going to dive into the book in great detail in just a moment, but for now, can you give us a brief elevator pitch about What You Leave Behind?
Sure. So I describe this book as a love story with a few dead bodies thrown in. And by that, I mean Dina Wood is going through what I call a trifecta of misfortune. She has recently been divorced. She's been fired from her prestigious job at an Atlanta law firm, and she is grieving the loss of her beloved mother. So to nurse her wounds, she moves back to Brunswick, her hometown. And one day she goes out just kind of driving to clear her head, stumbles onto some very expensive oceanfront property, and is quickly run off by an elderly gentleman with a gun who tells her, "Don't ever return. I'm not interested in selling," because he mistakenly believes that she wants to buy it. And, she kind of says, "Say less, got it." She leaves, but she can't get him out of her mind. And so a week later, she returns. The old man is gone. The trailer he was living in is gone. Even his little dog is gone. And she just decides, whatever happened to this guy? She can't get him out of her mind. And she goes snooping around to try and figure out what happened to him. And it's there that she gets herself ensnared in a really deadly theme of illegal land grabs and property redevelopment.
Yes. So good. So good. And we're going to talk a lot more about it. But first, we need to talk about the killer cocktail. Kimberly?
Yes, well, the killers, we love our cocktails and mocktails and tasty drinks. So every episode, we ask our killer guest to come equipped with their favorite and recipes for tonight's drink. Although I don't know if we need a recipe. Check out the recipes at killerauthorclub.com under the tab Killer Cocktails. But tonight, Wanda chose champagne. It's her special drink. Wanda, would you
Good
like to tell
choice.
us why? Yeah, we love champagne.
Yes, I chose champagne because I am like in a month-long celebration of the release of this book. And I'm not a big drinker. Okay, so like confession time. Like I was in college. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you three and all your listeners. So we're in the dorm and we're playing a drinking game, right? This is how polite I am. I take one shot, politely fall asleep in the corner of the room. And that's where I woke up the next morning, curled up in a position after one shot of vodka. So I kind of quickly realized I am a guy's cheapest date, but I always have a glass of champagne though whenever I'm celebrating. So
I
I
love
just
it. Love it. Well, we are celebrating with you. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
cheers.
Congratulations.
Mm.
Okay, Wanda. And whatever you share in the clubhouse stays in the clubhouse.
That's right.
For sure.
We would never share with anybody else.
Let's hope my kids aren't listening.
Right. I think it's safe. Yeah, you're
I
good.
sent my son off to college and he thinks it's okay to play drinking games.
Oh, no.
Mm.
I won't say. Okay. The Killers and I started the Killer Author Club 2 years ago so that readers like you can interact with some of the best suspense and thriller authors in the business, like Wanda. And our summer-fall lineup includes superstars like Rachel Housel Hall, Sandra Block, CJ Box, Jessica Knoll, Geneva Rose, and so many more. If you want to know dates, times, and all the rest of the information, visit killerauthorclub.com. But tonight, we're here to talk about What You Leave Behind. Not only is it an Amazon editor's pick, but it's on the Amazon editor's list of the best books of the year so far. Amazing, Wanda. Congratulations. First Clue says, a beautifully balanced novel that includes a foray into the world of the Gullah Geechee people, the experience of grief, and the uncovering of a land grab, all wrapped up in an edge-of-your-seat thriller. Book List, in their starred reviews, said Morris excels at weaving in elements of the paranormal and inexplicable, like an oddly benevolent Shirley Jackson. I love that. This tale is ominous at first, full-blown at the finish, not to be missed. So Wanda, obviously, you are a highly skilled and talented killer. Now we need to know your answer to the killer question. When do you kill?
Oh, I kill whenever it's in service of the story. And by that, I mean, the characters have to have a motivation for killing. And the motivation has to move the story forward. I typically get slammed for killing off characters that people love. They're always like, what? Why did you kill so-and-so? But it's usually because the plot revolves around something, whether it is in my first book, All Her Little Secrets, where a beloved character died in that book, but that was because that character was caught up as a pawn in a really bad and dastardly scheme. My second book, it was much the same. And so I really do try and make sure that sounds weird, I'm killing for the right reasons. That makes sense. And that when a reader leaves my book, they feel like, oh, I hate to have seen that character go, but, I understand. Now, for the bad guys, I usually kill off the bad guys in really unusual ways. So someone once asked my husband, they're like, do you worry that you sleep next to this woman? Because the bad guys in my books always get their comeuppance, and I usually do it in a, kind of unique fashion.
I love
They
it.
deserve it. Sounds like they deserve it.
Yeah, I think you've got a lot of logic behind your killing, which we appreciate in the Killer Author Club. That's what we like to know, why you kill the good people, why you kill the bad people, especially the bad people. We like to hear that.
Yeah.
hear that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Heather, I know you want to start.
Yeah, I do. I want to ask this question because within this, masterful thriller mystery, you also fold in so beautifully the topic of grief. And I mean, the language you use and the turn of phrase. And can I just read one of them? I mean, it's just so beautiful. So you say, a year later, and this is Dina talking about the loss of her mother, because in the story we learn that she really has had a lot of loss. A year later, and I was still having a hard time navigating the indescribable grief because the person who usually helped me through any heartache I ever had was now the source of it. I can relate to that in so many ways, and along with this one as well. Everybody has lost somebody. I guess I'd been wearing my grief like a weathered old coat, and people kept trying to help me slip out of it.
Oh.
Where does that beautiful, sad, but so real, authentic part of your book come from?
Oh,
And thank you
so
for sharing it with us.
Thank you so much for that. So, as I've said in previous interviews, I used to always say I would never write a book about grief because grief is a really hard journey. I lost my mom when I was in my early 30s. I was much, much too young to have lost someone that I loved so deeply. And at the time, I was working, on a stressful job. I had two young babies. One was two, the other was like 5 months old. So I just had a baby and I lost my mom. And I was really, really lost. And, I kept thinking I didn't want to make decisions. I felt like I was making bad decisions. I just felt like I was paralyzed. I didn't know where to go and where to turn because whenever I felt like that, I always went to my mom. And so she was no longer there. So, all that's to say that the grief journey that I take Dina Wood, who's the protagonist of the book, the grief journey that I take her on was a journey I took myself.
Mm.
Um, and it was hard. It was hard. And I always like to make sure that my characters feel real and authentic. Um, and I didn't want to go there with this character, but I needed her to be in a really broken place at the beginning of the book because her character arc by the end of the story, she ultimately kind of finds her way through that, and so much so that she helps other people. So I really needed her to be in a broken place, and death of a loved one will take you there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you captured it in, like I said, in such an honest, realistic way, and just added such a beautiful layer to the story. I mean, we all love our thrillers, and when they have that human layer to it as well, makes it even better. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
And
you.
so this story sprung from, I was reading a segment on the evening news where a woman was denied FEMA aid to repair her home due to a legal theory called heirs property, which just honks me off to no end. But anyway, can you explain what that means to people watching who haven't heard of that?
Yeah. Could you repeat the last part of that?
Just explain what the heirs property means and how
Yeah.
people are getting.
Yes. So, heirs property is a legal theory that says when you die without a will or having left some, legal disposition of your property, then everyone that you're related to inherits a fractional share of that property. So, whether it's your children or a cousin or an aunt, whomever, if you haven't left a will to designate what happens to your property, then they all inherit a fractional share. And under heirs property, all it takes is one of those heirs who decides, I want to sell my fractional share. And if they do, and the family can't buy them out, then they can force a sale of the property by going to court. And so what ultimately happens is that unscrupulous real estate developers will come in and, they watch death notices and, figure out whose family And they'll come in, and when you're poor and cash strapped, they offer you $5,000. That's a lot of money, right? And they sell their fractional share, and then they tell the rest of the relatives, you need to buy me out for $50,000, which of course they don't have, right? And then they go to court and they can force a sale of the property. They wind up buying the property and redeveloping it. And it's unfortunate because what happens is families lose generational wealth. So it's not that you just lose your particular property, but you've lost property that you could pass on to, your descendants. And then they build on that and they generate wealth and then they pass that on. And so we're really talking about lives being changed when you can't keep your property in your family.
Absolutely. And we find out early on that Dina's protected her family from this, but also most people don't have a lawyer in the family to help advise them on this. It's just so stunning. And when you read about it in the book, it just makes you so angry too, because you've seen it, but you're not aware of how it's happening. And just reading how you explain it, it's infuriating.
It really is. And I'm a lawyer, and I didn't know that much about it. I mean, I generally knew it was out there. I learned about it in first year law school and property class, but I didn't know the devastating impact that it could have on families until I saw this report on TV. And then I started to dig around a little, and I was like, what the heck?
Right.
And of course, it typically happens in, Black and brown communities, poor white rural communities in Appalachia. So the disenfranchised are the ones who are usually the ones who are taken advantage of.
Yeah. Is it state specific?
Well, it really is what they call common law. So you can have it all across the country. Different states will have legislation about how it happens, but it generally can happen anywhere in the country.
Wow.
And the other element that you weave in so beautifully that I was really touched by was the Geechee Gullah culture. And just in the language and I don't know, you just have it in there so beautifully. Like if you've ever had a chance to hear it or be around people who are still speaking it, it just came alive to me in my mind. So tell us why that's important to you as well.
You know what? It's interesting. My grandmother was born here in Georgia. I was born in Ohio and then came down here for a job. But my grandmother was born in Georgia. And my mother used to always tell me when I was young, oh, we're Geechee. Now, I was usually trying to run out to the party, those drinking games, right? So I didn't sit down with her and say, what does that mean? Tell me more about it. I was usually kind of headed out the door to hang with my friends. And so only when I started to research this, like I said before, and I realized how heirs property really has been decimating the Gullah Geechee community. I said I knew that I wanted to set the book there because it's such a rich and vibrant community, right? The Gullah Geechee people are direct descendants of formerly enslaved Africans that were brought to this country. And so they trace their roots back, and they have stayed intact with their culture, with their spirituality, their language. All of that has stayed intact and remains since their ancestors came here from West Africa and Central Africa. So I knew that I wanted to center the book within this community. And what is so interesting is that as I started to research and write the book, I started to kind of put the pieces together, like the things that, my mother did were the things that I found in the Gullah Geechee community, kind of the spirituality and, the belief in the ancestors and interpreting dreams and all of those things that I was like, oh, that's what we used to do in my house, or, the food. Oh, that's what we ate. And so it was almost like I was kind of coming home of sorts.
Yeah, you could tell it was beautiful. I loved it. Yeah, really. And the blue doors, all that. Yeah.
The best books are the ones where not only are we on the edge of our seat, but we learn something too.
I agree with that.
That is like the best kind
Absolutely.
of book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the kind of book I like to read. I like to read
Yeah.
books that, yeah, hold my interest, but also engage me kind of on an educational, intellectual level. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I did that, or I hadn't thought about it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved the italicized sections, which is at first we don't really know who it is, right? And then it's Ruth's like thoughts as she's kind of watching over Dina. Can you talk about that without giving away any spoilers?
Let me see. Can I? You know
It's
what?
hard, right?
It is. But here's the thing: people like Ruth, Uncle Duke, Jimmy, her father. These were, when I said that this book is like a love story, these were the people that kind of undergirded her with love, right?
Yeah.
In a really bad place. And so these people give her a soft place to land. But she has to kind of come to recognize that, because she's all caught up in kind of her own issues, and thinking that she's made this horrible mistake by marrying this, garbage piece of guy who was just horrible. And so she's all caught up in her own head and not realizing that she has this whole community that loves her and that cradles her, even when she resisted. Um, but the book is also a love story on another level, in that it is a love story of the Gullah Geechee people with the land and the sea, and how tied they are to these things that come from the earth. Um, and so, when you have, I have interstitial chapters where, these voices are, talking to her in this, Creole, this, Gullah Geechee patois. And it's to demonstrate that there are so many levels of love, and that in all of this, you want to leave a legacy of love in addition to leaving, material wealth. You also want to leave a legacy of love too for the people you leave behind.
Yeah. Love it.
Absolutely. Okay, one more question. Because this is always something we talk about in the Killer Author Club. Are you a killer pantser or a killer plotter? Do you plot your books out, or do you just go by the seat of your pants?
No, I'm a killer plotter. Here's the thing. I don't know what the heck I'm doing when I sit down to write a book. And I know people go to the computer and they're like, the muse has hit me, and I go. And I sit down to the computer, I'm like, what the hell are words? Like, so I always have to have like a roadmap of sorts.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like not an intense outline, but I at least write down kind of the big scenes that I'm going to have. So I know how the book is going to open. I know kind of a couple of pivotal scenes that kind of turn the story. I know kind of what happens in the middle that kind of throws everything upside down. I usually don't know how my books will end, though, which is weird if I'm a
Interesting.
plotter. I usually have to figure that out as, I start to develop the bad guys. But yeah, I do like a 2 or 3 page outline, and then I start.
Yeah, that's not a bad.
Pages. You can do that, Kara. You could do a 2 or 3 page outline.
Kara's our resident full-fledged pantser. I'm someone.
Do you ladies outline, or you can't?
I do. My outlines are usually more like 20 pages.
Oh,
that's amazing.
Okay, so you're intense. Okay, got it.
I'm in the middle. I'm a pantser / plotter. I'm becoming a reformed pantser.
She's going to the dark side, I think. Yeah. I'm a dug-in pantser. I am a pantser, and I just stay there. I don't know why.
Come on over, Kara. It's very organized over here.
If you saw my office, you would see that I am not an organized person. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it someday.
You know what, Kara? It's working for you. It's working for
Right.
Wanda, working for
That's
Kimberly.
right.
So
There
we
you
just
go.
have to find keep on
Everybody
going.
has to
So
find their own thing and go for it. Yeah.
that's
And then
right.
maybe pivot if it's not working.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's that time. It's the time for our that people get so excited about our killer giveaway. So Wanda has a very special giveaway tonight. 2 paperback copies of What You Leave Behind. And one lucky winner will win a Wanda M. Morris package of all 3 of her books. Doesn't matter if you're watching on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Doesn't matter. We scour the comments everywhere. So, but please make sure to shout out where you're from. So the question is, our killer question, what was Wanda's profession before becoming a full-time killer author? So drop your answer in the comments and we will scour through those and we will pick some lucky winners.
Ooh, what could it be?
Good luck.
So the killers love our indies and we want to support them in any way we can. And that's why we ask every killer author to tell us their favorite indie bookstore. Wanda has chosen the Bookworm Bookstore in Powder Springs, Georgia. Wanda, can you tell us why this store is so special to you?
Oh my gosh. Julia Davis is the owner of the store. And I remember her reaching out to me. She had read an arc of my very first book over here, All Her Little Secrets. And she reached out to me and she said, would you do anything with me? Like come into the store, sign stock, do an event, whatever. And I was a new author and nobody had ever done that for me. I had tried introducing myself to a few bookstores and they were like, yeah, well, whatever, nice. But she just really took me under her wing and her store does so much for the community. She has a community garden. She does events for the community at large in Powder Springs. She loves authors, and you can tell. So I love the Bookworm Bookstore, and I hope if you get an opportunity, go online, shop her bookstore. Her customer service is fantastic. Yeah.
Love it. Well, I'm in Atlanta too, and I have not heard this one, so I'm going to check it out.
Oh, yeah, you should.
And go see. So I just dropped the link to the books or the information about the bookstore in the comments, and you can order Wanda's book and any other book that you want.
That's right.
Check it out next time you're in town. Tell them the killer said hi.
Exactly. Okay, and tonight we have not 1, not 2, but 3 killer author alumni books to celebrate. So there you go. Do I wait for the graphic?
Yes,
I do.
we'll do.
Okay.
Yes, there we go.
Okay. All right. First, we have Shadow Heart by Meg Gardner, which was released on June 18th. Meg is giving away 3 copies to lucky U.S. viewers. Here's a fun bit about the book. What happens when 2 serial killers, here's some serial killers, begin to compete with each other? Yikes. Okay, from #1 New York Times bestselling author Meg Gardner comes a new high-octane thriller in the acclaimed Unsub series in which FBI Special Agent Caitlin Hendricks faces a case from nightmares. It doesn't sound like that. I'm sure it's great. So we'll drop a link in the comments. And if you're interested in winning one of those books, please let us know. All right. And the next one is Killer Author Club alumni Liv Constantine with The Next Mrs. Parrish, which also released on June 18th. Liv is giving away 5 copies to lucky U.S. viewers, so let us know if you're interested in that book, please. Here's a fun bit about the book. It's a CBS New York Book Club pick and a New York Times bestseller. Daphne and Amber Parrish are thrust back into each other's lives upon the resurgence of a long-forgotten threat. forcing a vicious game of cat and mouse where everything is on the line in this thrilling sequel to the million-copy best-selling Reese's Book Club pick, The Last Mrs. Parrish. All right, and last but not least, we got a big night tonight. Okay, we have Housemaid is Watching by Frida McFadden, which released on June 11th. Frida is giving away 5 copies plus stickers and bookmarks to lucky viewers in the US, Canada, the UK, and Australia. So if you live in all of those places, not all of them at once, but if you live in any of those places, please tell us where you're from and if you're interested in Frida's book. All right. So, and that one is about it's a sequel to the unbelievably twisty, tension-packed, and globally best-selling Housemaid series. This book can be enjoyed as a standalone read, and once you start, it will have you up all night racing through the pages. All right. And we also have another big announcement, you guys. There's a lot going on.
Giveaways keep on coming.
They really do. Okay, so you guys all know about Friends in Fiction, I'm sure. And if you don't know who they are, they're a group of 4 authors who do fun, fantastic live author events and an online show like ours. Who are they? They're Patty Henry, Kristen Harmel, Christy Woodson Harvey, and Mary Kate Andrews. We will be guests on Friends in Fiction on July 3rd, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and we'll drop the link to watch that live show in the comments. And it was a really great experience. And we're doing a crossover giveaway with the Friends in Fiction authors as well. You could win 7 books. This is more books. So we'll drop that link in the comments for you too. If you're interested in entering that, there's a form to fill out, and good luck. The giveaway will, I think, when does it close, you guys? I can't remember. It's like a week, I think.
A week. I think it's about a week. Yeah.
So
Go ahead. And that's not all. That's not all, because membership has its privileges. So if you are a member of our Killer Author Clubhouse, which is our private Facebook group, you might just have the chance to win some swag. It's the spot for really hardcore killers. So our killer swag winner tonight is Tiffany Johnson. So Tiffany, reach out to one of the killers and we'll send you some pretty cool swag. We've got water bottles, we've got mugs, we've got hats, all kinds of good stuff.
We got it all.
Send us your information.
Full service killers.
Yes.
Love it. Well, Wanda, we have some excellent news for you. You've survived the Killer Author Club.
Yay!
You did it. Congrats.
You ladies are my people. You're my tribe.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. So Wanda, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We do.
Oh, this was so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we could have talked, there's so much to talk about in this book, and it's such, you guys all need to go grab a copy or hopefully win a copy, because it's really powerful. It's a great story, but you learn a lot about things that you should know about. So anyway, so thank you.
It's funny too. It's funny.
And it's funny, yeah. And there's a love story. There's so many different love stories.
And there's a love story. That's right. There's a love story.
Yeah, Howie, I know. We didn't even get to that. Okay. All right. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. And a big thank you to our friends at Book Reporter, too, for sharing the Killer Author Club news with their readers, which has been really nice. We'll be back again in 2 weeks on July 16th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, with the one and only CJ Box and 3-inch teeth. In the meantime, please find us wasting entirely too much time on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff. For all the information you need in the upcoming schedule, past episodes, recipes, merch, and all of that, go to killerauthorclub.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a happy 4th of July holiday.
Oh, that's right.
Thanks, everybody.
I guess I'm a killer, threw our love into the river. Heard you